My name is Miriam Peretz. I'm an international dance artist, and I'm originally from Israel. Before I dance, before I do any kind of dance, I touch my head to the floor, and I remember that I come from the earth. I come from dirt and divine nothingness, and that I will return to this dirt and divine nothingness. And in each one of my classes, we start with this practice of emptying ourselves and remembering that we are nothing and that we return to nothingness. And through this practice, I also pray that through our dancing, we should open our hearts much wider, that we should bring compassion into this world through our movements. I was born in Israel, and my mother and father were religious. They were religious Jews. My father is from Morocco, and my mother is American, and their cultural differences started to show up very strongly when I was a baby, and my mother felt that she needed to leave, and she took me to California, where she raised me. And I didn't reconnect with my Moroccan Jewish roots until I was 16. And at that point, it was a very deep experience to go back to Israel and see who I am there. And it's a huge part of me. It was a huge part of me at age 16. Even though I didn't really know that world, being here in America, I always felt somehow I didn't quite belong. Something didn't click for me culturally, spiritually. There was a missing link. So going back at 16 was a very powerful experience that really shaped the rest of my life. When I went to study dance in Israel, I really immersed myself in the Middle Eastern dance world. And at the same time, I was studying percussion in a music school, Oriental Music School in Yerushalayim, Jerusalem. And in this school, there was a Persian music ensemble and music theory class. And it wasn't what I was studying. And I started to find myself sitting by the door and listening to the music. And then it became a pattern of sitting by the door and crying and weeping. And slowly something in my heart really started to open. And I realized that this music, this is my heart's calling. And I started to study Persian music theory just because I was so in love with the music. And at that point, I realized I wasn't going to become a Persian musician, but I wanted to really immerse myself in that dance culture. I feel really blessed that my mother decided to raise me here in the Bay Area because if she had kept me in the religious Orthodox box that I was born into, which is a very patriarchal culture, and women, they're not allowed to dance or sing in public. They have to cover their hairs. It's very limiting, and I never would have flourished into the dancer that I have flourished into. When I go back to Israel and I see that culture of where I'm coming from, my heart and my soul want to go into that culture, and I want to dance with those women. I would love to be able to take my dance and what I'm doing and offer it to religious women, both Jewish and Muslim religious women that haven't found that expression yet. I feel like dance is the most beautiful universal language. I feel like when I'm dancing with people from other cultures that speak other languages, something really deep happens and connections are made that I feel like language and words, they could never go to that deep place. And since I was a child, I saw that connection of through movement, of being able to express the deepest yearning, the deepest, the soul's cry, what we have really inside our hearts and in our unconscious mind. I felt like dance was the way that we could communicate with each other as human beings and really move past the boundaries and barriers of culture, of religion, of language. I want to dance to a tasnif. I want to dance to the heavy crying song that's in a daska that is minor. I was very specific, and musicians always scorned me and said, that's not dance music. I said, that's what I dance to. And I took inspiration from all of the movement that I've learned, from all of the Silk Road dances, but really the form that I'm doing is highly personalized, and it's really my devotional expression. I feel like my dance is the union of all of these parts of me, of being Jewish, of being a woman, of being a Sufi, a dervish, a dancer of the Silk Road, and most important, a devotional dancer. I dance for the divine, I dance for God, I dance to bring unity into this physical world. For the longest time, I kept my heritage a secret, and I was afraid to say that I'm Israeli. I was afraid to say that I'm Jewish, working with predominantly Muslim communities. And at a certain point, it really hit me that I'm going against what I really believe, which is breaking these barriers and seeing our common humanness. And I took a leap of faith and I started to answer people's questions when they said, where are you from? You must be Tajik, you must be Afghan, you must be Persian. I said, no, I am Israeli, I'm Jewish, my father's from Morocco. We are from the Sephardic tradition. And always, it took people a moment. They were surprised many times, and maybe there was a little bit of disappointment for a moment that I wasn't part of their culture or what they wanted me to be a part of. But I feel like I was accepted. I feel like there was a certain acceptance because people respected what I was bringing. I was bringing my art, and I was bringing not just my art, but my full heart. When I dance for people, I really am offering them my prayers. I'm giving them my heart on a silver platter. During my years living in Israel, there was a period of time I lived in Jerusalem, and I lived just outside of the old city. And I would go to the Western Wall where the Dome of the Rock was, and I would pray and I would listen to the prayers of the Jews, of the Muslims, of the Christians, and they overlapped and they made the most beautiful music. And I spent many hours crying and weeping in this place. And I thought to myself, most people are disturbed by the sound of the other. The Jews are disturbed by hearing the call to prayer, and the Muslims are disturbed by all of the Jews and their prayer, and the Armenian Christian church, maybe they're disturbed by everybody. And my heart mourned that not everybody heard the music that I was hearing, the beauty of these overlapping prayers. And that's when my project, the Miriam's Well Project, was born. It was born from the inspiration of living in Israel, Palestine, but it came together here in the Bay Area with many incredible artists from the three faiths, Christians, Muslims, Jews. We created the project together from a place from our hearts, from a place of prayer and yearning, that people in the audience would hear this beautiful overlapping music of the three traditions, of the three religions, singing and praying, overlapping in unity. On my last visit to Israel, I was trying to search for all of the ancient wells, all of the sites. The Christians, the Muslims, and the Jews, they all have a story about Mary or Miriam or Miriam. And all of the stories somehow have to do with the movement of water and the sacred well. And we use this metaphor to show a unifying concept of the three religions. I would like to go deeper into this research, include the Baha'i faith that also has the story of Miriam. I'd like to really find people also from all of these cultures and traditions living in the Holy Land, living in Israel, Palestine, and include them in the project. And that's where I think the real work can have a higher impact. My most recent project is the starting of an international dance collective, and it's called Nava. And I chose Nava because it's a word shared by Turkish, Iranian, and Hebrew languages. So Nava means pleasant or beautiful in Hebrew language, and Nava in Farsi means song or tune, and it's the name of one of my favorite daska in Persian music. Nava means also music or tune in Turkish. And in Hindi, Nava means something new and innovative. So I chose this title because it really is universal in a sense and connects the cultures that I'm trying to connect. Dance as being something that's community-oriented, and I think in most cultures around the world, dance was used to create community. I wanted Nava to be something that created more community amongst dancers. I think right now in the world there is a huge imbalance. And I feel like this imbalance has been building, and even though there is a lot of feminist movement and people talk about feminism, it's really a patriarchal world, and we see it right here in America as much as is in the Middle East. It just looks different. We judge a lot, but just because one woman is wearing a hijab and one woman isn't, it doesn't mean there is necessarily a huge difference. I think that women's voices in some ways are heard more in the Western world, but there is also a lot of hypocrisy. Well, this is radical, but I feel like women need to have a revolution and take back control of this world, because I feel like a lot of the destruction, a lot of the aggression, the wars that are being fought, I'm sad to say I feel like they are driven by male leadership. And I feel like if the voice of the divine feminine was stronger in the world, there could be peace. Peace is possible. I feel like for there to be a real shift in consciousness, first, women need to realize their potential and find their voice and the goddess inside of them. And as a dancer, I feel, of course, dance, that's the path. It might not be the path for all women. Maybe for some women, their voice, maybe singing, or maybe an expression of music, or poetry, or spoken word, but finding some artistic way to express yourself in the physical realm, I feel is really important for empowerment for women. And at the same time, men need to see and hear and listen to this expression and find an awe for it, a real sense of awe. I feel like there is a part of the male mind that they allow their sense of control and power and their egos essentially to kind of keep everything the way it is, which is patriarchal, which is not allowing for the female to really come into a place of power. I wish that the religious leaders of the world, of all of the religions, could get together and somehow have an incredible realization that the voice of the woman needs to be heard stronger, because I feel like the religious leaders, if they are not teaching the people the importance of the female voice and what women have to offer this world, it's kind of hopeless. So I am just praying for this moment to happen when the leaders of all of the religions can have this moment of realization of the strength of the divine feminine and realize that women can bring peace to this world if allowed. I think that dance and art in general is one of our only ways to find empowerment. That's how I feel. I feel like dance is a huge gift for empowerment for women. I just pray more women can find this path and find their voice through whatever artistic expression they can find.